Good afternoon and welcome to you all. At least it's good afternoon here in Scotland, wherever you are, whether it's good morning, good evening, good afternoon or good night. We are delighted to be here for another coffee break catch-up. My name is Mark and I am your host for the day, and also, of course, the host of Coffee Break Spanish, French, German, Italian and Chinese. We are going to be sharing our latest news with you today, as usual, and then we have got some interesting discussions for you as well. In fact, let's have a look at what's happening in today's show. As usual, we're going to start with some coffee break news and then move on to our talking point. Now, our talking point is an interesting one this week. Our talking point is all about music and how you can use music in your learning, be that using music for your learning of the language and listening to songs in the language that you're learning, or indeed using music as a background to help you concentrate. So we'll be talking about that area a little later on. And then, of course, we will be sharing our cultural roundup for the week, and we're looking forward to doing that. As usual, we're delighted to see you joining us, and do let us know where you're joining us from. In fact, we've got a few comments already. We have got Nicole who's joining us and saying ciao a tutti. We've got Lernen leicht Schultipps. I'm from Germany and learning Spanish with Coffee Break. Vielen Dank. We've got Sandra Archer, who is saying, ich lerne Deutsch, aber ich komme aus Australien. Good. I don't know whether you're in Australia at the moment. If you're in Australia, it must be very late for you. Thank you for watching. Nicole saying she's pronta per CB Catch-up, die Basingstoke in Hampshire. GGM is saying, bonjour tout le monde, je suis de Russie et j'apprends le français. Здравствуйте. Fantastic. Douglas is saying, ich wohne in den USA und ich lerne Deutsch, a German learner from the United States. And Elenaki is saying hello from Athens. It's wonderful to see you again. Likewise, delighted that you are here. Evcharistopoli. So, as usual, let us know where you're watching from. We don't seem at this point to have any people watching us on Facebook, but we should be live. Well, we don't have any comments from Facebook anyway. We don't have any comments from Facebook, so I'm hoping that this is going out as planned and as it should be from Facebook. And perhaps if we are having a problem with Facebook, the team can let me know on Slack, because I've got Slack on here now as well. But hopefully everything is going as planned, and we are live both on YouTube and on Facebook, and it's fantastic to be here. So let's get on with the show, because of course we're going to be starting with our latest news all about Coffee Break. So it's time for our coffee break news, and it's been a very busy week. It always seems to be a busy week. Hopefully things are calming down a little for the summer from our point of view, but it's been a busy week of publishing content here. So let's take a look at the latest episodes. I will just bring that slide off. Okay, so here we go. We are beginning with a special message for our colleague Glenda, who is leaving us today. Glenda's been working with us for this past year, and she has been doing some fantastic work with Coffee Break German. But she's leaving us today, and it's also going to be her birthday next week. So we'd like to say vielen Dank und alles Gute zum Geburtstag, Glenda, and thank you for all your work over the past year. So thank you very much, Glenda. But coming up with some other news, and that is, first of all, our Coffee Break Italian magazine podcast. We've put the latest episode of the Coffee Break Italian magazine out this week, and we've called it Leggiamo un po', which means let's read a little. And what we're reading in specifically this week is the content. Sorry, I've got completely distracted there because we do have a problem. I am not seeing the Facebook comments on my system. So if there are any questions that come through or comments that come through, perhaps we can say yes. So sorry about this. We're not seeing the comments on Facebook during this live broadcast, but if you're commenting on Facebook, the team is going to be able to copy me any comments or questions through another system, so that way I'll be able to answer. I just won't be able to put your comments on screen, unfortunately. So apologies for that to our Facebook fans who are following us on the live broadcast, but we'll still be able to have your contributions read out at least through another system. All being well, let's get back to our news. So our news here, we've got Leggiamo un po'. Leggiamo un po' is our coffee break Italian magazine podcast, episode 4. And it's all about an Italian author called Italo Calvino. And I remember very fondly reading some Italo Calvino when I was studying at university. And that is one of the books that we talk about in this episode. We're quite often asked for ideas and suggestions as to books for learners. And so in this episode of the Coffee Break Italian magazine, we're suggesting Italo Calvino as a good place to start. So you can read more about that and hear more about that in the Coffee Break Italian magazine podcast, which is out already this week. And you can find that on Apple Podcasts, you can find that on Google Podcasts, and of course you can find that on Spotify too. So moving on from Italian, we are also publishing the next episode of our Coffee Break French magazine podcast. So if you've not yet listened to the Coffee Break French magazine podcast, you should definitely do so. The next episode is going out next Monday, and the topic for the next episode is the city of Strasbourg, a beautiful city in the east of France. And it's a very interesting city from the point of view of where it is geographically, because it's right on the border with Germany, and historically very interesting, and from the point of view of European institutions and so on, very interesting indeed. So tune in on Monday for the latest episode of the Coffee Break French magazine. Okay, let's move on. We also will be publishing the final episode in our series of En Marcha con Coffee Break Spanish tomorrow. So that episode is a slightly different one. What we've done with that episode is ask multiple people the same questions. So a batch of 4 questions, and we've asked lots of people that we spoke to when we were in Malaga and the surrounding area. And we asked them these questions, and through their answers, you can build your understanding and build your communication skills. So that is En Marcha, which we will be putting out tomorrow, and you can look forward to that. Now, if you're a premium subscriber of En Marcha and you get access to all the additional materials, we've also got our language study materials, of course, this week, plus the exercises, the activity pack, the vocabulary, and so on. But we're also putting together a special pack of materials that will go out next week to summarize everything that's happened in this series of En Marcha, so you can look forward to that. If you're interested in finding out more about that, then head over to coffeebreaktravels.com. That will take you straight to the pages on the Coffee Break Academy, where you can purchase En Marcha. Okay, let's move on to the rest of our content. The next one up is an episode of Coffee Break German to Go, which went out last week, and this is Hast du Geschwister, which means, do you have any brothers or sisters? And we also asked other questions about family in this episode. So all questions about family with our interviewees talking about that. Continuing our series of 1-minute languages, this week we've published 1-minute Polish on our YouTube channel. So this is a series of 10 espresso style lessons. So it's not a full coffee break, but an espresso break. And this time we're teaching Polish. So you can learn the absolute basics of Polish, and you can do so in a matter of minutes with 1-minute Polish. And we're excited to announce that on the YouTube channel too. Simply head over to YouTube and you'll be able to see 1-minute Polish very easily. And last but not least in our news of new content is an exciting announcement for all French learners, and that is the fact that Walk, Talk and Learn French is back. We've got a number of episodes that have been recorded with me out and about in the streets of Paris, talking about the language that we saw out there, and then we come back to the studio and discuss it in more detail. So this is intermediate grammar, so we're looking at things like, as you can see here, for example, the past historic. The past historic is a tense that's used as a narrative tense in the past, and we've seen an example of that in a film poster. So this episode is due out at the weekend. You can look forward to that at the weekend, and then consistent episodes after that, because we're quite a number to publish, and we're looking forward to publishing then. So that is all the video and audio content. But talking of audio content, this week we've also launched a brand new project, and it's called Tune for Tuesday. Now, the idea behind Tune for Tuesday is that you can learn the language that you're learning with a little bit of music. And what we're doing with Tune for Tuesday is every Tuesday we're publishing a link to a particular song in a particular language. This week, it was the song La Mer, the Chartres naissant, La Mer qu'on voit danser le long des golfes clairs, and so on. Don't worry, it's not me singing, it's the original that you're hearing. So that will be published on a Spotify playlist and also a YouTube playlist. I will give you some information about the song and links to the lyrics of the song. We can't publish the lyrics on our website for copyright reasons, but we can share other websites where the lyrics are published. So this will add up to a whole playlist of different music over the course of the weeks that we publish Tune for Tuesday. And you can look forward to regular publications of Tune for Tuesday every Tuesday. And we'll put that out obviously on Facebook, on Twitter, and on Instagram too. So that's Tune for Tuesday, and it brings me up to a discussion of what this week's talking point is, because this week's talking point is following on from Tune for Tuesday, because we're going to be talking about all things music. That's just a preview of the Spotify playlist you can see there. We've got some songs already on there, but the forthcoming songs will be new songs, and they'll be added to the playlist every week. And it's very much a range of different styles of music, and we're trying to keep you up to date with different styles of music, but also provide some interesting language songs. So the idea being that perhaps one song may have an interesting use of the imperfect tense running through it or something like that. So that is Tune for Tuesday, and that is going to be published every Tuesday. Now, as I said, it does bring me to our talking point for this week. So let's move on now to our talking point. Okay, so what about music? Music is a very powerful tool for language learning. This can be taken on many levels. First of all, we can think of music as inspiring you to learn the language. Perhaps you've always loved a particular song in the language, and you've always wanted to be able to sing that song or understand the words. So that's inspiring you to continue with that language and learn more of the language. For many people, music is more than something that they enjoy. It can even be a career. So if you're involved in music, if you're involved in singing, then singing words of foreign songs is part and parcel of your career. Equally, if you are a musician and have to travel to perform, then the ability to speak another language is very useful. Equally, when you're learning, very often people like to have music playing in the background. Or if you're trying to do some kind of immersion in the foreign language, then perhaps you can do your learning traditionally and then put on some music or have some music playing while you're driving or while you're at the gym or something like that. So today what we'd like to do is give you some tips as to how you can use music in your own language learning. And to start us off here, we've put together a video. And this hopefully will get you thinking about the ways in which you can use music for your language learning. Okay, so hopefully that gave you some things to think about in terms of using music in your learning. But let's have a discussion about this now. As we did last week, I am going to put a question on the screen and I'm going to give you 1 minute and I'd like to hear your thoughts on this. As I say, we can share your thoughts from YouTube and I've now got the comments coming through on my phone from Facebook. So let's ask this question. Let's see if I can bring this up. Here is your question. Your question is, I think I've got it here. Let me see 1 moment. There we go. So we're talking about language learning using your favorite songs. And the question coming up is as follows. Do you have any experience of using music to help you learn a language? Or do you have any recommendations of a song or artist for other learners? Let's see your comments now. Okay, so if you have got some recommendations of any particular songs, or if you've got any ideas as to how people can use music in language learning, then hopefully you have posted your messages here. I'm just waiting on these coming in, and we can share these with our other listeners. So we have already someone saying, let me see, I've got it here. Grace is saying, j'aime bien les chansons d'Adamo et di Ramazzotti. Now, I don't know Adamo or Adamo, but I definitely do know Eros Ramazzotti, an Italian singer. Douglas is saying, I've been listening to a ton of German music, especially the folk bands Schandmal and Faun. Fantastic. Now I've got a couple on Facebook as well, so let's have a wee look at these. Arlene Del Rey is saying she listens to Céline Dion in French. Fantastic. Her music is easy and lots of new words, as well as helping with learning new phrases. Exactly. Carol is saying anything by Mina or Zucchero. Some very well-loved songs by Zucchero as well. Wendy Greenland is saying we listen to Zaz and try and write down the words to her songs. Brilliant. Mary is saying I have access to Spanish and French channels online and on radio, so I listen to help me develop an ear for how to pronounce things better. Excellent. Thank you, Mary. And Vincenzo is saying the Beatles for English. That's a fantastic idea as well. You've got lots of opportunities to learn English with some fantastic music. We have some more comments here. So Grace is mentioning one of my favourite songs actually, Bambino nel Tempo by Ramazzotti. So she's currently listening and learning the lyrics of Ramazzotti songs Bambino nel Tempo, Una nuova età and Sta passando novembre. Brilliant. So that's Grace. Thank you for that, Grace. Salvatore Adamo, born in Italy but living in Belgium. Okay, I'll definitely look up Salvatore Adamo. We also have Brian, who's saying, I find song lyrics are more like poetry than spoken language. They don't always reflect how people actually speak and haven't been that helpful in my language learning. Now that is a really interesting comment as well, Brian. I sometimes think the best tool for language learning is plays, when you really have what people actually say, and you will get the exact ways that they speak because it's all spoken content. But with music, you do have a different type of language, and sometimes it's not exactly the way people would speak normally. But I always think with music, it's possible to have the music on and allow that to help you get the rhythm of the words and also the intonation of the words. Obviously, it depends on certain languages, because some languages would be tonal and therefore you wouldn't necessarily be getting the same tones, but particularly the pronunciation of the words. And I think that's something that music can certainly help with. But thank you for your comment, Brian. A really interesting point of view. Nancy is saying, my cousin in Italy introduced me to the artist Zucchero years ago. I enjoy his music and get the gist of what he's singing. Rose is saying, Domenico Modugno, golden oldie. Indeed, a golden oldie, but a very good oldie. Iman is saying, my Italian teacher always included one song in each class. A great way to do that. We would love to include more music in our podcasts, but because of copyright and so on, we can't, unfortunately, do that as much as we would like. And I don't really think you always want to hear me singing, to be honest. We've got Dawn is giving us a song recommendation, La Mente Vola by Alpha Taurus. Okay, we'll have a look at that. And we've got Rona who's saying, I tried to find popular music that had an English equivalent, such as Moonlight Shadow or La Sombra Luna. That's a nice way to do things as well. I remember for many, many years, I loved listening to the foreign versions of musical soundtracks. So I always, my favourite Phantom of the Opera soundtrack was the Swedish one because of the sounds of the lyrics, but the combination of that with particular notes and so on in the opera. I love that. And also Disney, there's always lots and lots of Disney songs. If you're into Disney films, then you can use the foreign version of the songs because you're familiar with the ideas behind the songs. A few other comments quickly. We've got Bill saying, I recently sang Que reste-t-il de nos amours at a local fair. It was a great learning experience. Wow, fantastic, Bill. Well done you. You could post a recording of that on the Facebook page and we'll enjoy that. Who else has posted? Ava's saying, thank you for helping me learn some Irish. I hope I could visit there soon. Good stuff. Martin is saying, Sarah Official on YouTube is a beautiful singer who covers many songs, but in French. And she covers Ed Sheeran as well in French versions. Fantastic. Thank you all for your comments. And of course, if you're watching this later and you're not joining us live for this, then please do feel free to post your recommendations of singers, particular songs and so on. And we can even potentially add these to our list of Tune for Tuesday recommendations. If you'd like to check out Tune for Tuesday, then you can do that on the website. Just head over to radiolingua.com or coffeebreaklanguages.com and you'll be able to find our Tune for Tuesday recommendations there. And of course, the Spotify playlist too. So let's just recap on our suggestions as to how you can use songs in your learning. So let me bring up these slides again. So language learning using your favourite songs, and we've got a full blog article about this, and you can have a look at that at your leisure. To begin with, we suggest that you just listen through first time without reading the lyrics, and again, listening through will give you that idea to focus on the pronunciation and look at the way in which the rhythm of the words works together. Secondly, look at the lyrics. Find the lyrics online and listen again while you're listening to the lyrics. After you've done that, try to find a translation of the lyrics online, or indeed you can run it through a translator. Of course, it won't be a perfect translation, but it might help you to get the gist. And as one of our commenters mentioned, it's sometimes a little bit difficult to get exactly what song words means because they can be that bit more poetic. But having an idea of the English translation will help you get into the song that bit more. And then we would suggest that you take notes on the vocabulary and the grammar in each of the songs. And then try to look into the cultural knowledge behind the song. So find out about the artist and the country's music. And of course, the most important part of all of this is enjoy your listening. It's important to enjoy every aspect of your learning. And if you can bring enjoyment, and if you're a lover of music, then you can bring that enjoyment to your learning. And it's yet another way to improve the language that you're learning. So that's our talking point this week. As I say, you can join the discussion on the blog or indeed post your comments here later, and we will be really interested to read your comments. For now, let us move on to our cultural roundup for the week. It's time for our cultural roundup. Let me see if I can bring these slides in. I'm just looking for the right slides. Here is our cultural roundup. Actually, to begin with, we're starting with our reviews for the week. And I actually saw Rona commenting earlier on, and we just wanted to share your review on Facebook, Rona. Coffee Break Spanish's parent company Radiolingua is such a useful resource whether you have little or no Spanish language knowledge at all. The podcasts are clear and concise and have really helped to develop my listening skills. Mark and the team have done a fantastic job, and I don't think I would have passed GCSE Spanish as a mature student without their help. I look forward to furthering my understanding and continuing my journey with them, and we look forward to you continuing your journey, Rowena. Thank you very much indeed for that Facebook review. Another Facebook review, this time on Italian, and this was a comment actually on one of our Monday motivation posts. So Deborah said, I started studying Italian almost 2 years ago in anticipation of a short trip to Italy at the age of 66. It wasn't a short trip, sorry. I just returned from the month-long trip a few weeks ago and was proud to be able to actually speak a little when I was over there. So thank you, Coffee Break Italian, for being a big part of my ongoing language learning journey. Grazie mille, Deborah. And we've got Kay Gorey in a Canadian Apple Podcast review who's saying that Coffee Break French is the best possible option for beginning your journey into the French language, especially if you have limited time available in your life. Every lesson is useful and applicable in everyday life and travel. Can't wait till I've gone through all the episodes and have an excellent grasp on the language. Merci beaucoup, Mark et Anna. Thank you very much indeed to you, Kay Gorey, for your review. So now it is time to move on to our cultural roundup. And the idea of this is if you happen to be able to travel to a particular place this weekend, then we've got some suggestions for you. And of course, if you can't travel to that place, then don't worry, we are providing the links in our catch-up newsletter, which will go out tomorrow. And the links will allow you to travel there virtually, and you'll be able to see about the event, and you'll be able to learn and use your language skills to improve your knowledge of that event. So let us now then move to our cultural slides, and beginning this week with French. Now there's actually two things for French. First of all, we've got the Chopin Festival, and Chopin is one of the world's greatest romantic composers, and I have to say he's one of my favourite composers. His piano concertos are simply sublime, and I love listening to some Chopin piano concertos, and although there's no language in them, it certainly is inspirational to listen to those. So it's the Chopin Festival this week, and it happens in Paris, in the Orangerie in the Parc de Bagatelle in Paris, in fact, and there are recitals of the composer's work performed by musicians from all around the world. And there's a kind of open doors day, a piano open doors day, to allow young pianists to interpret Chopin's music. So if you're interested in Chopin, this is running from the 22nd of June until the 14th of July. So a fantastic opportunity to try out some classical music in Paris. Now, talking of France and talking of music, we also have to mention the Fête de la Musique, which happens tomorrow. And this is an annual event celebrating all things music with live performances and a festival, and it happens all over France. Indeed, it happens all over the world. It's World Music Day, and it launched in 1982, and it's been going ever since then. So that's why we chose this week to be our week of music, with Tune for Tuesday launching on Tuesday, and of course our article about using music in your language learning today. All to do with World Music Day, or Fête de la Musique, happening tomorrow. Okay, let's move back to our slides, and we will move to our Spanish suggestion. And the Spanish suggestion this week is the Noche de San Juan. The Noche de San Juan is a holiday held nationwide on the 23rd of June, which is St. John's Eve. And it's the day of the summer solstice. So the main component of this festival is all about fire, a symbol of the sun. The celebrations are usually held on the beach with bonfires and fireworks and the traditional burning of wood. And it's celebrated all over Spain, but some of the most well-known festivals are in Madrid, in Barcelona, and in Gran Canaria as well. This is a fantastic event, a very special event, and very much the sort of start of the summer season in many places in parts of Spain. The summer season has already well and truly begun, but the Noche de San Juan does represent that start of the season. So if you happen to be in Spain, then you can, of course, investigate the Noche de San Juan celebrations on the 23rd. Let's move on to our Italian suggestion, and this week we're going all the way to Sicily and to the town of Syracuse, or Siracusa, in Sicily, where the Greek Theatre Festival is ongoing and it's running until July. And this is a festival all about classical plays, and some of the world's most well-known performers come together and perform in this festival with lots of performances and plays acted out on an open-air stage in the town of Siracusa. So definitely worth investigating if you're in that area and if you're into dramatic performances and historical events. So that's our Italian recommendation. And finally, we are moving to Germany, and with Germany, we're looking at sport. Sport in the form of sailing, because it's I've made a mistake there, I've seen, it's the Kielerwoche, not the Keilerwoche. I apologise for that. I set up these slides earlier, and I should have checked that there, sorry. It's the Kielerwoche, which is a sailing festival. It's one of the largest sailing events in the world, and it takes place in Kiel, which is the capital of Schleswig-Holstein in Germany. It's a city on the Baltic Sea. And there are thousands of participants, 5,000 participants, over 2,000 boats or ships, and 3 million visitors who come every year to enjoy the boating festival, the ship festival in Kiel. So do check that out if you are interested in sailing. That is our cultural roundup for this week. And as I said, if you would like the links for all of these, then simply make sure that you're subscribed to our newsletter, and you can do so at radiolingua.com/newsletter. And there we will be sending out tomorrow the links for all of these, and there will be an article in the foreign language that you're learning and an article in English, so you're able to access it regardless of which language you're learning. And of course, there will also be all the links for our the podcasts and the video episodes and the blog articles that we've published too. So just make sure you are subscribed to the newsletter. And that is our cultural roundup for the week. Now, before we finish off, there are some further questions and some further comments that we need to share. Let me just check out, because I'm looking through this list and there are a couple of questions. First of all, from Facebook, Brian asked, are these each different podcasts, or can they all be found on the same Coffee Break podcast? So if you're referring to the Coffee Break magazine, so the Coffee Break French magazine and the Italian magazine, as long as you're subscribed to the Coffee Break magazine, the Coffee Break podcast, be that on Apple Podcasts, on Google Podcasts, or if you use Spotify, as long as you're subscribed, you'll see these most recent episodes coming in. And they're all in that list. So you just get a new season. For example, the Coffee Break French magazine podcasts is shown as season 6. We had 4 40-lesson seasons, then a 10-lesson season of En Route, which was season 5, and then season 6 is the Coffee Break French magazine. So you'll be able to see these on the podcasts wherever you're subscribed to. Of course, we provide additional materials, and all of them can be found on the Coffee Break Academy. And you can access that at coffeebreakacademy.com. I hope that answers your question, Brian. A comment here from Roxanne, who is saying, thank you so much for everything. I'm going to be learning Spanish. However, I've really enjoyed your Italian course. Thank you very much, Roxanne. Thanks to you, I was able to watch movies in Italian on the plane on my way to Bari. Well, that, and as I was able to fix our accommodations when we were in the mix-up, where in the mix-up was 1 bed instead of 2 beds in 1 room, which would have definitely been awkward. I'm glad you were able to sort out those problems, Roxanne, so thank you for that. And Wena is also saying, Chav from Jacksonville, Florida, just want to tell you that listening to Coffee Break Italian has helped me a lot when we went to Italy 3 weeks ago. That's brilliant to know. Wendy has a question on the Coffee Break French Facebook page, and Wendy is asking, is there any way we can slow down or speed up your songs so as we can try to work out the words of the song? I don't think so. From what I know on the on Spotify, I don't think you could slow down the song. However, if you look at the song on YouTube, then on YouTube there is a speed button. So you just look at the bottom of the screen at the right hand side, and there you can say in the settings, play at 0.75 speed or play at 0.5 speed. And that should slow down the song. I don't think it will slow down the song so that the lyrics sound lower. I think it will just sound slower. It might not be pleasant to listen to, but it may well give you a chance to understand some of the lyrics more effectively. So I would say that on YouTube you should be able to do that. Okay, now we have Marcello is saying, just want to say vielen Dank for the German coffee break. That helped me heaps. That helped this Brazilian heaps into the adventurous German language. Thank you, Marcelo. Sean is saying, hola Marc, gracias por el show Coffee Break Spanish. Acabé de regresar de Medellín y fue increíble poder comunicar con los paisas. Thank you very much indeed, Sean. I'm glad that you were able to enjoy your travels more through Coffee Break. Now, there is a lot of discussion happening on our YouTube chat. One thing we've not been able to do yet with these live broadcasts on YouTube is make the chat available after the event. We're trying to work that out. But there is a lot of chat happening, and I want to share Douglas's comment here. And Douglas is saying, I follow a German YouTuber who breaks down German songs and gives us the meaning from a native speaker, mostly rock music, but it's been very helpful with the translations and hidden meanings. So thanks for sharing that, Douglas. And Sandra asked, who is the name of the German YouTuber? And Douglas has confirmed that it's Vlog Dave. So hopefully Vlog Dave is able to help other people learning German. I'm sure you'll be able to find similar things. So he's doing household chores and explaining them in German, such as vacuuming and doing the dishes. I love that. That's not something I don't think that we will be including from Coffee Break in any time soon, but we'll see. We consider everything. But thank you, Douglas, for sharing that resource with our other learners. Grace has a question, and she's saying, I'm thinking about starting Coffee Break Spanish to learn Spanish, but worried about learning 3 languages at the same time. Any recommendations? Well, I guess one thing would depend perhaps on what other languages you're learning at the moment, Grace. If you're learning, for example, Portuguese and Italian along with Spanish, that would be quite a challenge because the languages are similar and there are certain things that are the same and certain things that are different in those in those languages. If you were learning Spanish alongside German and Chinese, then there's going to be less crossover there. What I always say when people ask about learning multiple languages at the same time is try to compartmentalize those languages in your mind. And you can do that in a variety of ways. You can train your mind to remember, for example, where you learn a particular language. So if you always do your Spanish, let's say in the kitchen at the table, then your brain will remember being at that particular place when you're looking for a word. So you know that it's if you remember the word and you think, this may be the word in Spanish, but you weren't sitting at the kitchen table when you learned that, then your brain will help to know that it can't be that word. Whereas if you were learning your Chinese when you're in the car, or if you're learning your German while you're at the gym, if you can sort of compartmentalize your languages by doing this, then that can help. The other thing that I often suggest is that you try to associate colour with a language. Some people feel that colour is a very useful tool when you're learning anything. And I believe that if, for example, you have a red notebook with a red pen and all the stickies that you might know, the sticky notes or so on, that you may want to use, keep them red and make that your Spanish colour or your Greek colour or your Lithuanian colour or whatever. But if you associate red with that, then everything about that language will stick in that one colour. And likewise, if you associate green with learning Hungarian or learning Punjabi or whatever you happen to be learning, then that's another way to help your brain delineate between the different languages. So I hope those suggestions are useful to you, Grace, as you're considering moving forward with Coffee Break Spanish. We've got a couple of other comments here. Nicole is saying also another website, Lyrics Training, can help you either to understand or to write some of the lyrics with many different languages. Thanks for that suggestion. And Douglas is talking about learning Norwegian, but it was affecting my German, so I had to stop. Too many similarities. I find that with my Norwegian and my Swedish, I find it very difficult to separate them because they are very, very similar. But Grace is saying, great idea. That's what I do with remembering words. In which book or story did I learn that? Exactly. Someone was telling me last week that they listen to Coffee Break Spanish while they're out running, and they can actually remember individual sentences from the place that they were running through when they were listening to that particular part. And I do that with songs. When I'm listening to a song, I can remember the last time where I heard that particular line of a song. I was out for a walk, or I was in the car at that particular junction, and so on. So your brain is really an amazing thing, and it can certainly help you recall things in different ways. Okay, we are going to have to finish off there because we do have a time limit on this. So we are coming to the end of this broadcast. Just a couple of things to remember. First of all, let me bring these back up, our cultural things. So do remember that if you'd like all the links for the cultural materials, then just go to radiolingua.com/newsletter. But if you have a question for our Coffee Break podcasts, then you can head over to coffeebreakquestions.com, where you can record using your microphone on your computer or your tablet, and you will send us that question, and we can include that in a future magazine podcast. Or, if it's easier, simply record it on your voice messages and the app that you use to record voice messages, and then simply email that to radiolingua@gmail.com, and we'll be able to review your question and potentially add it to a future lesson. That's it for this edition of our Coffee Break Catch-Up. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. I should say that next week, which is the 27th of June, is going to be our last catch-up before the summer. And then we'll be back after the summer with more catch-ups. However, what I would say is that throughout the summer, our catch-up newsletter will still be being published. So we'll still have cultural recommendations, especially in a time... I'm talking about the summer. I realise I'm talking about the summer. I'm talking about a Northern Hemisphere summer. We're getting ready for the summer here in Scotland. We're really looking forward to the summer because it's not really been very summery so far. But we will be stopping the videos on a Thursday over the summer, but we'll continue doing our newsletter. And that means you can still keep up with our latest publications, our latest blog articles, and of course the Coffee Break Catch-Up cultural recommendations each week. But for now, I'd like to say, I'm sorry, I'm yawning here, it's been going too long. I'd like to say a huge thank you to everyone for your comments. Thank you for saying hello. We will try our best to make sure we can get the live chat onto the replay of this. But for now, I would like to say thank you very much. I always have to say this in another language, since we're doing Polish on the 1 Minute Languages YouTube account, on the Coffee Break Languages YouTube account for 1 Minute Languages. We are doing Polish this week. So all of that means I will say thank you and goodbye in Polish. So dziękuję bardzo and do widzenia. Thank you very much and goodbye.